Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll continue with the reading of the Bible. Where were we? We started off, where we left off, we have no Jesus because we're in Genesis, and Jesus hadn't come around yet. But Egypt is facing 7 years of good times and 7 years of famine. And so Joseph is telling him about this situation. So here we go. So let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him take the fifth of the produce of the land of the years of the land, produce of the land of Egypt as a tax in the 7 years of abundance. Then have them collect all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain for food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and have them guarded. Let the food be used as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish during the famine. Now the proposal seemed good to Pharaoh and to his servants. Joseph is made a ruler of Egypt. Joseph is made a ruler of Egypt. When Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this in whom there is a divine spirit?" So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has informed you of all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you are. You shall be in charge of my house, and all my people shall be obedient to you. Only regarding the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh also said to Joseph, "See, I have placed you over all the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took off his signet ring from his hand and put it in on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put the gold necklace around his neck. And he had him ride in his second chariot. And then they proclaimed ahead of him, "Bow the knee." And he placed him over the land of Egypt, Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Though I am Pharaoh, yet without your permission no one shall raise his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." When Pharaoh named Joseph Zaba, either Pharaoh, Pina, and he gave him Asenath, the daughter of Pelopiah, priest of On, to be his wife, and Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. Now Joseph was 30 years old when he stood in the presence of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went through the land of Egypt. During the 7 years of plenty, the land produced abundantly. So he collected all the food of these 7 years which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put it in every city the food from its own surplus. I'm having trouble with this. He put in every city the food from its own surrounding fields. Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he stopped measuring it, for it was beyond measure. The sons of Joseph. Now before the year of the famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph, whom Asenath, the daughter of Pelopiah, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph named the firstborn Messiah Menzen, for he said, "God had made me forget all my troubles and all my father's household." And he named the second Ephraim, for he said, "God has made me fruitful in this land of my affliction." When 7 years of plenty, which had taken place in the land of Egypt, came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began to come, just as Joseph had said, then there was famine in all the land, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So then all the bread was when the 7 years of plenty which was taking place in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began to come, just as Joseph had said. Then there was famine in all the land, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So when all the land of Egypt suffered famine, the people cried out to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph, whatever he says to you, you shall do." When the famine was spread over the entire face of the earth, then Joseph opened all the storehouses and the grain to the Egyptians of the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Then the people of all the earth came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, but the famine was severe in all the earth. Joseph's brothers sent to Egypt. Now Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt, and Jacob said to his sons, "Why are you staring at one another?" Then he said, "Look, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us from that place, so that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin for his brothers, for he said, "I'm afraid that harm may happen to him." So the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those who were coming, because the famine was also in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was a ruler over the land. He was the one who sold grain to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brother came and bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he disguised himself to them and spoke to them harshly. He said to them, "Hi, Lori." He said to them, "Where have you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." But Joseph had recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had about them. And he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to look at the undefended parts of our land." And they said to him, "No, my lord, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are all honest men. Your servants, we are not spies." Yet he said to them, "No, but you have come to look at the undefended parts of our land." But they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers in all, and the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no longer alive." Yet Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you will be tested. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and have him get your brother while you remain confined, so that your words may be tested, whether they are the truth in you. But if not, by this life of Pharaoh, you are certainly spies." So he put them all together in prison for 3 days. Now Joseph said to them on the 3rd day, "Do this and live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined in your prison. But as for the rest of you, go, carry grain for your famine of your household, and bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and you will not die. And they did so. Then they said to one another, truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us, yet we would not listen. For that reason, this distress has happened to us. Remember, answered them, Reuben answered them, saying, did I not tell you? Did not sin against the boy, and you would not listen? Now justice for his blood is required. They did not know, however, that Joseph understood, for there was an interpreter between them. Then he turned away from them and wept. But when he returned from them, he spoke to them and took Simon from them and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, but also to return every man's money in his sack, to give them provisions for the journey. That is what was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with the grain and departed from there. But when one of them opened his sack to give his donkey feed the overnight campsite, to give his donkey feed at the overnight campsite, he saw his money, and behold, it was in the opening of his sack. So he said to his brothers, my money has been returned. Look, it is right in my sack. Then their hearts sank, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, what is this that God has done to us? Simon is held hostage. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them, saying, oh, can't you see I'm reading the Bible to the good people of the world?
I'll be very quick. I'll get out of your way.
You're not quick. You're very slow and old. You know, you ever heard anybody say you're an old soul? You're an old soul.
You know you're reading the Bible, right?
Yeah. I'm going to throw it at you, too.
Is that what he's teaching you?
That's what it's teaching.
Oh.
Smite thy captor. You are my captor. There it went. It should be a good read. Oh no, the dreaded pills. Oh, help me. Where was I? Oh. Well, folks, is that not enough pills to take? I think it's enough pills to take. So he said to his brothers, "My money has been returned, and look, it is right in my sack." Then their hearts sank, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" Simon is held hostage. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them, saying, "The man of the Lord of the land spoke harshly with us, and took us for spies of the country. But we said to him, 'We are honest men, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no longer alive, and the youngest is with our father today in the land of Canaan.' But the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, 'By this I will know that you are an honest man. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for your famine for your households, and go. But bring me your youngest brother to me, so that I may know that you are not spies, but honest men. I will give your brother to you, and you may trade in the land.' Now it came about, as they were emptying their sacks, that behold, every man's bag of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw their bags of money, they were afraid. And their father Jacob said to them, 'You have deprived me of my sons. Joseph is gone, and Simon is gone, and now you would take Benjamin. All these things are against me.' Then Reuben spoke to his father, saying, 'You may put my 2 sons to death, if I do not bring him back to you, but put him in my care, and I will return him to you.' But Jacob said, 'My son shall go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. If harm should happen to him on the journey you are taking, then you will bring my gray hair down to Sheol in sorrow.'" The return to Egypt. Now the famine was severe in the land. So it came about, when they had finished eating the grain which they had brought from Egypt, that their father said to them, "Go back, buy us a little food." Judah spoke to him, however, saying, "The man seemingly warned us, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' If you send your brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you do not send him, we will not go down." For the man said to us, "You will not see my face unless your brother is with you." Then Israel said, "Why did you treat me so badly by telling the man whether you still had another brother?" But they said, "The man specifically asked about us and our relatives, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another?'" Have you another brother? So we answered his questions. Could we possibly know that what he would say? Bring your brother down. So Judah said to his father Israel, send the boy with me, and I will arise and go, so that we may live and not die, we as well as you and our little ones. I myself will take responsibility for him. You may demand him back from me. If I do not bring him back to you and present him to you, then you can let me take the blame forever. For if he had not delayed, surely by now we would have returned twice. Then their father Israel said to them, if it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best products of the land in your bags and carry down to the man as gifts a little balsam and a little honey, laburnum, resin, and myrrh, pistilo, nuts, and almonds. And take double the money in your hand, and take back in your hand the money that you returned in the opening of your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake. Take your brother also, and arise, return to the man, and may God Almighty grant you compassion in the sight of the man, so that he will release to you your other brother and Benjamin. So as for me, if I am bereaved of my sons, I am bereaved. So the men took this gift, and they took double the money in their hands. And Benjamin then they set out and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. Joseph sees Benjamin. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to his house steward, bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make preparations, for the men are to dine with me at noon. So the man did as Joseph said and brought the men to Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house, and they said, it is because of the money that was returned in our sacks the first time that we are being brought in, so that he may attack us and overpower us and take us as slaves with our donkeys. So they approached Joseph's house steward, and spoke to him at the entrance of the house and said, O my Lord, we indeed came down the first time to buy food, but it happened when we came to the campsite that we opened our sacks, and behold, each man's money was in the opening of the sack, our money in full. So we have brought it back in our hand. We have also brought down other money in our hand to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sack. But he said, peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. Your money was in my possession. Then he brought Simon out to them. Then the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water. They washed their feet and gave their donkeys feed. So they prepared the gift for Joseph's arrival at noon, for they had heard that they were to eat a meal there. When Joseph came home, they brought to the house, told to him the gift which was in their hand, and they bowed down to the ground before him. Then he asked them, about their welfare and said, Is your old father well, of whom you spoke? Is he still alive? And they said, Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive. Then they bowed down again in homage. And as he raised his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, he said, Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me? Then he said, May God be gracious to you, my son. Joseph then hurried out, for he was deeply stirred over his brother, and he looked for a place to weep. So he entered the chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and he controlled himself and said, Serve the meal. And they served him They served him by himself, and Joseph's brothers by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. Now they were seated before him, from the firstborn according to the birthright, to the youngest according to his youth, and the men looked at one another in astonishment when they took portions to them from his own table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs, so they drank freely with him. The brothers are brought back. When he commanded his house steward, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the opening of his sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the opening of the sack of the youngest, and his money for his grain. And he did as Joseph had told him. As soon as it was light, the men were sent away, they with their donkeys. They had just left the city and were not far away when Joseph said to the house steward, Up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is this not that from which my Lord drinks? and which he indeed uses for divination, divination. You have done wrong in doing this. So he overtook them and spoke these words to them. And they said to him, Why does my Lord say such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such things. Behold, the money which we found in the openings of our sacks we have brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? When whomever you servants is found, he shall die, and we also shall be my Lord's slaves. So he said, Now let it indeed be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, but the rest of you shall be considered innocent. Then they hurried, each man lowered his sack to the ground. Each man opened his sack, and he searched, beginning with the oldest and ended up with the youngest. And the cup was found with Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes in grief, and then each man had loaded his donkey. They returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there, and they fell down to the ground before him. Joseph said to them, What is this thing that you have done? Do you not know that a man who is like me can indeed practice divination? So Judah said, What can we say to my Lord? What words can we speak? And how can we justify ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's slaves, both we and the one in those possessions. The cup has been found, but he said, Far be it from me to do this. The man in whose possession the cup has been found, he shall be my slave. But as for you, go up in peace to your father. Then Judah approached him and said, O my Lord, may your servant please speak a word in my Lord's ears, and do not be angry with your servant, for you are equal to Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, We have an old father, and a little boy born to our father, old age. Now his brother is dead, so he alone is left of his mother, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, so that I may set my eyes on him. But we said to my Lord, The boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. You said to your servants, however, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again. So it came about, when we went up to your servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord, and my father said, go back, buy as little food. But we said, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down, for we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one left and said, surely he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. If you also take this one from me, and harm happens to him, you will bring my gray hair down to Sheol in sorrow. So now, when I come to your servant, my father, and the boy is not with us, since my father's life is so attached to the boy's life, then he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. So your servant will bring the gray hair of your servant, our father, down to Sheol in sorrow. For your servant anticipated responsibility accepted. For your servant accepted responsibility for the boy from my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then my father can let me take the blame forever. So now, please let your servant remain as a slave to my Lord instead of the boy, and let the boy go up with his brothers. For how shall we go up to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear that I may see the evil that would overtake my father. Joseph deals kindly with his brothers. Then Joseph could not control himself in front of everyone standing before him, and he shouted, have everyone leave me. There is no one with him. When Joseph made himself known to his brothers, then he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard about it. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer him, for they were terrified in his presence. When Joseph said to his brothers, please come closer to me, and they came closer, and he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold to Egypt. Now do you not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here? For God sent me ahead of you to save lives, for the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are still 5 years in which there shall be neither plowing nor harvesting. So God sent me ahead of you to ensure for you a remnant on the earth, and to keep you alive by the residence, and to keep you alive So God sent me ahead of you to ensure that you, a remnant on the earth, and to keep you alive by a great deliverance. Now therefore, it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his household, and ruler of all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not delay, for you shall live in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children and your grandchildren, and your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. There I will also provide for you, for there are still 5 years of famine to come, and you and your household and all that you would be impoverished. Behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see, that it is my mouth which is speaking to you. Now you must tell my father of all my splendor in Egypt, and all that you have seen. And you must hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell on my brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck, and he kissed all over his brothers and wept at them. And afterwards his brothers talked with him. Now then, the news was heard in Pharaoh's house that Joseph's brothers had come. It pleased Pharaoh and his servants. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this, load your livestock and go to the land of Canaan, and take your father's and your mother's household, and come to me, and I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. Now you are ordered to do this. Take wagons from the land of Egypt for you little ones, and for your wives, and bring your father. Come, and do not concern yourselves with your property, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. Then the sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commands of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the journey. To each of them he gave charges of garments, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. And to his father he sent the following: 10 male donkeys loaded with the best things of Egypt, 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and substance for his father on the journey. So he sent his brothers away. As they departed, he said to them, "Do not quarrel on the journey." Then they went up from Egypt and came to the land of Canaan, to their father Jacob. And they told him, saying, "Joseph is still alive, and indeed he is ruler over the land of Egypt. But he has survived." He was stunned, for he did not believe them. Then they told him all the words Joseph had spoken to them. And when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, then the spirit of their father Jacob revived. Then Israel said, "It is enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Okay. Joseph moves to Egypt. Jacob moves to Egypt. 46. So Israel set out with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, "Jacob, Jacob." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also assuredly bring you up again, and Joseph will close your eyes." When Jacob left Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob and their little ones in their wagons, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him, they also took their livestock and their possessions, which they had acquired from the land of Canaan, and came to Egypt. Jacob and all his descendants with him, his sons and his grandsons with him, his daughters and his granddaughters, and his descendants he brought with him to Egypt. Those who came to Egypt. Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt: Jacob and his son Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hancock, Palu, Herzion, and Carmani, and the sons of Simon, Palu, Herzon, and Carmani, and the sons of Simon, Jamul, Jarman, Ohan, Jachin, Zohar, and Shahan, the son of the Canaanite woman, and the son of the Levi, Godstone, Kael, and Mary, and the sons of Judea Ur. Yes. Is it my watering time? Hello? Is it my watering time? Can I have a Mountain Dew? Oh. Now I took my finger off the spot which I was reading, and now I'll never find it again. I'm sure I won't.
Are you eating lunch today?
No. 2 milks and a burger for me.
2 milks and a burger.
Yeah.
We ain't got no burger.
I want a burger, woman.
I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, let's do walkie-talkies, even though you don't want to.
I really
You
can't.
got the pocket for it. I won't talk very much.
Every bed in this whole building is stripped.
Why? Because what's-her-face wouldn't do her job?
I don't know, but I'm irritated about it.
Well, Candace didn't clean up Goober Smacks. So Lori had to do it. And you're having to do his bed because he won't sit down on the toilet.
That's ridiculous.
He needs to be potty trained. Seriously.
We don't need to be trained. We're just lazy.
Excuse me. Well, I'm sorry you're having to go through that. But that should not jeopardize our walkie-talkie time.
Well, it sure does.
Just think you could gripe about it and you'd have somebody to gripe about it to.
Well, I can't be on it while I'm in the rooms.
If nobody's in there like me, I'm Mr. Nobody. I'm Mr. Nobody. Dee dee dee. Okay, thank you, Trish. God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also assuredly bring you up again. And Joseph will close your eyes. And Jacob left Beersheba, and his sons of Israel carried their father Jacob and their little ones in their wagons, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock, their possessions which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and came to Egypt, Jacob and all his descendants with him, his sons, his grandsons with him, his daughters, his granddaughters, and all his descendants he brought with him to Egypt, those who came to Egypt. Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt: Jacob and his son Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hancock, Palu, Hezron, and Carmari, and the sons of Simon, Jermal, Jamin, Ohad, Jacqueline, Zahar, and Shaun, the sons of the Canaanite woman, and the sons of the Levi, Joshan, Koran, and Merari, and the sons of Judea, Onan, Shehan, Piz, and Zer. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan, and his sons, Prezer, and Israel, and Harmu, and the sons of Isaac, Tola, Job, Tola, Hava, Love, and Sharon, and the sons of Zebulun, Surid, Elam, and Javiel. These were the sons of Lee, whom she bore to Jacob in Paddan-aram with his daughter Dinah. All his sons and his daughters numbered 33, and the sons of Gad, Ziphon, Haggard, Shoni, Ziphon, Aradi, and Arer, and the sons of Asher, the sons of Imal, Ishamai, Bereth, and their sister Sarah, and the sons of Berin, Eber, and Melchith. These are the sons of Zilwar, whom Laban gave to his daughter Leah, and she bore to Jacob these 16 persons, the sons of Jacob's wife, Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. Now to Jacob in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asrath and the daughter of Patra, priest of On, bore to him, and the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashva, Jura, Nama, Ela, Rose, Mephin, Hepin, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob. There were 14 persons in all, and the son of Dan, Hushim, and the sons of Nephal, Jazzi, Guri, Zivon, Shilin. These are the sons of Bilhan, who Laban gave to his daughter Rachel, and she bore these to Jacob. There were 7 persons in all the people belonging to Jacob who came to Egypt. This direct descendants, not including the wives of Jacobson. There are 66 persons in all, and the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the people of the house of Jacob who came to Egypt were 70. Now Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to guide him to Josen, and they came unto the land of Josen, and Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to Josen to meet his father Israel. As soon as he appeared to him, Joseph threw himself on his neck and wept on his neck a long time. And Israel said to Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen your face, that you are still alive. But Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and I will say to him, My brothers and my father's household, who are in the land of Canaan, have come to me, and the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock and have brought their flocks and their herds, and that they have when Pharaoh calls for you and says, What is your occupation? You shall say, Your servants have been keepers of livestock since our youth even until now, both we and our fathers, so that you may live in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Jacob's family settles in Goshen. When Jacob went and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brothers and their flocks and their herds and all that they have come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took 5 men from among his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? So they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and our fathers. They also said to Pharaoh, we have come to reside in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, please let your servants live in the land of Goshen. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is at your disposal. Settle your father and your brother in the best of the land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. And if you know any capable men among them, then put them in charge of my livestock. Then Joseph brought his father Jacob and presented him to Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many years have you lived? So Jacob said to Pharaoh, the years of my living abroad were 130. Few and unpleasant have been the years of my life, nor have they attained the years that my father lived during the days of their living abroad. So Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from his presence. Now Joseph settled his father and his brother and gave them property in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had ordered. Joseph also provided his father and his brothers and all his father's household with food according to the number of their little ones. Now, there was no food in all the land because the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph collected all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in payment for the grain which they brought. And Joseph brought the money to Pharaoh's house. Then the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan. All the Egyptians came to Joseph, saying, give us food, for why should we die in your presence? For our money is gone. When Joseph said, give up your livestock, and I will give you food for your livestock, since your money is gone. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for the horses and the flocks and the herds and the donkeys, and he fed them with food in exchange for all their livestock that year. But when that year ended, they came to him next year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord the fact that our money is all spent. The livestock are all my lord's, and there is nothing left, my lord, except our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, and we and our land will be slaves to Pharaoh. So give us seed so that we may live and not die, that the land may not be desolate." Result of the famine. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for every Egyptian sold his field because of the famine was severe upon them. So the land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he relocated them to the cities from one end of Pharaoh's border to the other. Only the land of the priests did he not buy, because the priests had an allotment from Pharaoh, and they lived off the allotment which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their land when Joseph said to the people, "Behold, today I have purchased you and your land for Pharaoh. Now here is the seed for you, and you may now sow the land. At the harvest you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own for seed of the field, and for your food, and for those of your households, and as for food for your little ones." So they said, "You have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my lord, and we will be Pharaoh's slaves." Joseph made it a statute concerning the land of Egypt, valid to this day, that Pharaoh was to have the fifth. Only the land of the priests did not become Pharaoh's. Now Israel lived in the land of Egypt, in Goshen, and they acquired property in it, and were fruitful, and became very numerous. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt for 17 years, so that the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. Then the time for Israel to die drew near. He called his son Joseph and said to him, "Please, if I have found favor in your sight, place your hand under my thigh now, and deal with me in kindness and fruitfulness. Please do not bury me in Egypt, but when I die, I lie down with my fathers. You shall carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place." And he said, "I will do as you have said." And he said, "Swear to me." So he swore to him. Then Israel bowed in worship at the head of the bed, Israel's last day. Now it came about after these things that Joseph was told, "Behold, your father is sick." So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, with him. When it was told to Jacob, "Behold, your son Joseph is come to you," Israel collected his strength and sat up in bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And he said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and numerous. I will make you a multitude of people, and I will give this land to you and your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. Now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before it came to you in Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine as Reuben and Simon are, but your children that you have fathered after them shall be yours. They shall be called by their names of their brothers in their inheritance. Now, as for me, when I came from Padam, Rachel died, to my sorrow, in the land of Canaan, on the journey, when there was still some distance to go to Erath. I buried her there on the way to Erath, that is Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? And Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom God has given me here. So he said, Given them to me, please, so that I may bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were so dim from age that he could not see, and Joseph brought them close to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I've never expected to see your face, and behold, God has let me see your children as well. Then Joseph took them from his knees and bowed with his face to the ground. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim and his right hand toward Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right, and brought them close to him. But Israel reached out of his right hand and placed it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, crossing his hand, although Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, The God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys and made my name live on in them, and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. When Joseph saw that his father placed his right hand under Ephraim's head, it displeased him, and he grasped his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Now so, my father, this one is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He also will become a people. He also shall become a people. Not so, my father, for this one is firstborn. Place your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He also will become a people, and he also will be great. However, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations." So he blessed them, saying that day,
What, Mark?
"Would you please give me my wipes?" I think they're over there.
No, they're not. No, there's an almost empty one over here, but that ain't the ones I got you yesterday.
I can't reach that on the total. Thank you. So he blessed them that day, saying, "By you Israel will pronounce the blessing, saying, may God make you like So he blessed them, blessed them that day, saying, by you Israel will pronounce blessing, saying, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. And so he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers, and I will give you one portion more than your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword in my bow. And that is where we're stopping today, for I am very tired. Blessed are the readings of the Bible. Blessed are my eyes that read the Bible. And where is my sheath that covers the Bible? Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a poor reading. Okay, here we go.